Hi everyone, my name is Victor and today I'm going to sketch the building behind me. I'll use watercolor and the sketch will contain also some natural elements like trees and greenery. Today I'm at Botanical Garden of Bucharest. Before starting the actual sketching, it's good to analyze and observe the subject of the painting. I'm very eager to try out the new sketch pad I bought yesterday. This is Arch's watercolor paper, cold pressed, 100% cotton. I'm very excited to try it out because it's for the first time I'm using this kind of paper. It has a rough surface which is suitable for a landscape sketch. On first instance, I outline the three main biggest shapes, which are the sky, the building and the foreground. The horizon line helps to establish the direction lines for perspective later. The building is the focal point of the sketch, so at this stage I think it's more important to outline the edges and the proportions as close as possible to the subject, rather than to put too many details. I find this view interesting because of the contrast between man-made objects and the natural elements surrounding the building. Also, the shades that are cast are also a point of interest in this sketch. I tried to keep all the vertical lines truly vertical and to match the oblique lines to the angle that they are on the subject. For me, sketching outside is a meditation practice. So why to sketch outside? There are many benefits from sketching outside. There are benefits for our mental health, allowing time for quiet contemplation, meditation and mindfulness of our surroundings, and improves our ability for sustained concentration. There are also benefits for our physical health, giving us a great excuse to spend time exploring the outdoors, whether it's a stroll in a local city park or a hike on a favorite wilderness trail. Usually before each sketching session outdoors, I ride my bicycle until the place where I intended to sketch, and this gives me opportunity to relax and to calm my mind before proceeding to the actual sketching. Another benefit of sketching outdoors it is that it provides a much needed break from our technology field, often stressful life. Also, it deepens our observational skills, balancing out the use of all five senses. Also, sketching outside provides a valuable record of our experiences in our sketchbook, more personal and cherished than simply a smartphone full of photos. Also results in pride of accomplishment, since one is creating instead of consuming content. It trains hand-eye coordination and fine motor skills, which are especially beneficial for improving art. For this sketch I'm using 2B pencil. For architectural details I'm using a mechanical pencil because it is thin and I don't have to sharpen it too often. For this sketch I am using 3 brushes Tintoretto, one big flat brush, one medium flat and one small 000 brush. I'm starting to paint the sky with a wash of ultramarine blue with a lot of water. I cover the sky with a flat wash, more or less even, because I'll add later bits of more color in the sky. Now I'm charging with a mixture of more creamy color. As I can observe, the paper is of very good quality because I can see the effect of wet on wen technique on this paper. The edges are not sharp, and this is what I intended for this paper. Now the yellow ochre comes to play. I often use yellow ochre in landscape. It's a base color. I can mix it with other colors to make greens or oranges of less saturated value, a bit of yellow to make the mixture more bright and close to the color of the building. So I lay a flat wash of this yellowish color on the walls of the building, trying to keep the edges as precise as possible. This flat brush helps me to make straight lines. The tip of the brush, when is wet, can make a very sharp edge. To the previous mixture I add burnt sienna and lay a wash on the roof of the building. I like to use all the colors in the mixture, like a skeleton for the whole picture, so they are somehow harmonious, being warm colors. Now I add a bit of ultramarine blue to the previous orange reddish mixture, and I obtain this violet purplish color, which I'm using here as a shadow for the roof of the hexagonal building. I think it's made of tin, and it reflects somehow the color of sky, yet it has its own metallic color. I leave that triangle completely white because on that side the sun reflects very brightly the light. Uh, it's almost like a mirror, so I'll reserve that triangle completely white. Now a bit more of yellow ochre for the foreground and cobalt blue, mixing directly on paper. It makes a greenish color, a bit more of yellow. So the foreground is more abstract because it's not focal point of this sketch, and the washes are more loose and are mixed directly on paper. So the paper is behaves quite well with this wet on wet techniques. I'm charging the colors um, directly on paper. I waited until first wash is completely dried. Now is the second stage of second values. I'm mixing ultramarine blue with burnt sienna. Now the color is more saturated, is and is of more creamier consistence. I'm putting now the shadow part behind the hexagonal building. It's a very dark area. This also helps to increase the contrast between the that part of the roof that is on direct sunlit, and it reflects the sun. Now again the sharp edge of the uh, brush helps me to establish new shapes that part of the building I didn't observe from the drawing, so now I sketched it with negative shapes. In the foreground it's a shade from a tree that is cast um, directly before the foreground. The shadow also has a cool temperature. It's a mixture of burnt sienna and ultramarine. I'm using very often tissue to wipe the brush. I think it's very important for watercolor, and not only. Also, with a thirsty brush, I'm wiping off the color for a trunk of a tree. Um, it it's like an eraser. It helps when the color is still wet. Now I'm adding some green um, parts of the trees on the left part. It's more of a abstract shape. Also is more dark to increase the contrast between the trees in the shadow and the um, building with a shiny roof. To make soft edges, I rinse the brush and dry it with a tissue. Then I spread the color until it spreads with a very thin layer. Now with another mixture of burnt sienna and ultramarine blue, also of creamy consistency, I add another layer of shades on the building. This is more dark shade. This is medium brush I'm using, also flat brush, and when it's wet it it has a very sharp edge, which helps me to build architectural details like these rectangular shapes, triangles, straight lines, edges, and to make flat washes like on this building on the right. This is greenhouse that is farther away, so it has a more cool temperature. Now I'm adding that shadow part of the um, that reddish rooftop with this. Now I'm adding brush marks in the direction of the roof. Here is another part of the building with burnt sienna, which also I'm using quite often for landscape and urban sketching. Establishing doors and windows when painting doors and windows. You don't have to cover all the shape. It's enough the upper edge and a bit of shadow part, so it looks more realistic. This brush is from Tintoretto. Even though they are made of synthetic fibers, they are very good. They retain water very good, and they behave like natural hair brushes, and they are um, um, less expensive than those of natural hair. This brush is perfect for rectangular shapes. It makes it in no time. Even though some of them I didn't draw, I established them on the go. Straight lines also is very convenient to draw with this kind of brush. adding some details, some lines. Now more green for the foreground plants that are in the garden. Also with this big flat brush you can make various marks and use instead of a fan brush, adding more creamy green color to render some grass and plants. Adding water to soften the edges. Now charging with ultramarine blue directly on wet color, so the colors mix directly on paper with soft edges. The foreground is not so focused area. Now with the corner of the brush I can make that branches on the trees, and they contrast with the white triangle on the rooftop, adding a bit of violet and green to the mixture, some plants in the shadow. Sketching doesn't need to be a slavish copy of the subject. It is more a process of design and an excuse to play with colors. Now adding depth with darker colors. Our beings resonates with the sight of trees, grass, flowers, sound of birds, feeling of the breeze. These experiences wake something up inside of us and help to set our lives into a more natural rhythm. Nature lovers have discovered this secret without even studying meditation. In the nature meditations, we focus our awareness on the experience of nature, sight, sound, touch, smell, and perhaps even taste. As with every meditation, we discover new ways of seeing things. The third and the last stage of the sketching process is to draw the details. I am using here the smallest brush, and with the tip of the brush I can draw very thin lines. I'm using for the details also a mixture of ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. This brush is very versatile because I can draw from very thin lines to thicker lines. The consistency of the color at this stage is very thick with little water. Now I'm drawing some poles, wires, details that are best to be left at the end of sketching process. Being mindful when sketching helps to connect with the subject. Now bring your awareness to everything that you can experience in your surroundings. Feel the temperature of the air on your skin, the feeling of the breeze and the sun. Notice the sounds around you: birds, bees, crickets, flowing water. This is a quick sketch that I painted today at the Botanical Garden of Bucharest. This is a simple sketch with only 3 layers of watercolor. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.